Hello and welcome to our Amgen Tour of California preview. The race is America's premier stage race and it's actually entering its second decade for the men, with the 11th edition taking place this year. The women's race takes place on the final 4 stages of the men's race and follows a very similar course too. We can't start a preview of the Tour of California without mentioning Peter Sagan. The world champion took a surprise overall victory last year, has 12 stage victories over 6 participations in the race, and in 2012 he took an incredible 5 stage wins. If it sounds like Sagan's race, an overall victory for him does seem a little bit less likely this year as the course takes in the very steep climb of Gibraltar Road on stage 3. Matt and Simon checked it out last year with the help of local pro Alexis Ryan.
Well, we're heading to the top of the Gibraltar climb. Elevation now just over 1,000 metres, kilometre in the air. And if this was a race situation, this is undoubtedly where the attacks would start. Go on, Alexis!
Yeah, we might be expecting the riders to go up there just a little bit faster than Matt and Si did in that video. Anyway, although stages 1 and 2 of the race aren't without their climbing challenges, they're both on rolling courses, I think the first overall selection will be made on the climb to finish at the top of Gibraltar Road on stage 3. I'm expecting riders like Rohan Dennis of BMC, Julian Alaphilippe and teammate Rodrigo Contreras of Ethics, Julian Arredondo of Trek and Lawson Craddock of Cannondale to be up there and pushing for the overall lead and the stage win. I wouldn't, however, discount the American-based riders. Guys like Rob Britton of Rally Cycling, Lachlan Morton of Jelly Belly and Theo Geoghegan-Hart of Action are all really strong climbers, and I think it'd be really interesting to see how they compare against the World Tour riders. Moving on from that, the finish of stage 4 could also prove tricky for the sprinters and the overall favourites too. There's a 1 kilometre 10% climb that tops out just 1.5 miles or about 2.5k before the finish, so that could discount some of the sprinters like Sagan and also provide a springboard for some riders who lost out a bit on Gibraltar Road to maybe claw back a few seconds. Stage 5 reaches the highest point in the race's history at 8,600 feet, which is just over 2,600 metres. The main difficulties on the day are going to be provided by the altitude rather than the course, but it could still be that we see a few splits in the bunch. Stage 6 is where the overall favourites are going to aim to get the race sewn up. Expect to see Rohan Dennis of BMC, if he's on form, to be the best of them, as it's a pan-flat 12.5 mile or 20 kilometre time trial around Folsom, of Johnny Cash song fame. Of the non-overall favourites, guys like Taylor Phinney could well be up there. A win for him would be hugely popular and possible as he continues his recovery from his harrowing crash. Also, Bradley Wiggins is at the race, leading his eponymous team, so interesting to see what he can do on the stage. After the time trial and barring disaster, it looks like the overall leader should be able to hold on to their jersey. Stage 7 around Santa Rosa is fairly hilly and could be ideal territory for a small break to take the victory. The final stage 8 is pan-flat and around Sacramento. It actually finishes by the governor's house, which Arnold Schwarzenegger used to live in. This is ideal for one of the sprinters to have a final crack at stage win, so Sagan, Degenkolb, Cavendish, et al. Will all be pushing their lead outs and going for the win here. At stage 5 of the men's race, the women's race starts. As this is a stage race on the UCI's Women's World Tour calendar, expect the field to be stacked. Megan Guarnier, Evelyn Stevens and Kristen Armstrong are all down to start, and teams like Canyon SRAM, Wiggle High Five and Bulls Dormans will all be bringing some of their strongest riders. The women's race starts with a 72 mile or 116 kilometre loop around South Lake Tahoe where the men's stage 5 finishes. Although the stage isn't super hilly, it's actually really quite flat. Altitude could be an issue here as the stage rarely dips below 1,900 metres above sea level. On to stage 2, the women follow the same course as the men for the Folsom time trial, except there's a twist. They're going to take it on as a team time trial, so Bulls Dormans, Canyon SRAM, Wiggle High Five and maybe even the US national team could all be pushing for the win here. Stage 3 of the women's race takes the riders on a loop around Santa Rosa. It's quite a hilly stage with the major difficulties on the course coming just after the halfway point, but with a relatively flat to rolling run into the finish, it's going to take a really strong break, perhaps containing some of the overall favourites to stay away from the chasing pack. Stage 4 is a flat circuit around the state capitol building in Sacramento, so will be one for the sprinters. It's prediction time. I predict 2 stage wins for Peter Sagan, 1 surprise stage win for a US men's continental team. Going for Rohan Dennis for the overall victory on the men's side, and on the women's side, I think Evelyn Stevens will take the win there. There we have it. Let us know your predictions and if I'm right or wrong down in the comments, and if you've enjoyed this video, do hit thumbs up and hit share too. To see Matt, Simon and Alexis Ryan take on the Gibraltar Road climb that the men face on stage 3, click right there. To see our top 10 riders to watch at the Tour of California this year, click down there, and to subscribe, click on the logo. Also, check out our shop.